When you spend years looking for the lost, you start to realize some things were never meant to be found. Story 1. The Whisper in the Pines. My name is Daniel Vasquez, and I've spent 15 years as a search and rescue officer in the Black Ridge National Forest. I've found lost hikers, recovered bodies, and dealt with my share of tragedies. But nothing prepared me for the calls that started coming in last October. It began with 2 college students who'd vanished on the Pine Hollow Trail. Their tent was still set up, sleeping bags unrolled, food untouched. We combed the woods for days before a hiker stumbled on them, 15 miles northwest of their campsite, deep in an area no trail led to. Their bodies were curled against a rotting log, faces frozen in something between terror and confusion. The coroner said exposure. I knew better. Their boots were caked with mud, their fingernails torn raw, like they'd been running. Then came the radio calls. I was on night patrol when dispatch crackled with a transmission. A woman's voice, whispering, "Help me. He's in the trees." Coordinates placed her near Elk Ridge, so I went. Found nothing. No boot prints, no broken branches, just an eerie silence. Dispatch swore no missing persons reports matched her description. 3 days later, another call. Same voice. "He's following you." My blood turned to ice. I looked behind me, just shadows and pines. When I radioed back, all I got was static. The last one came a week later. A father and son, hiking the northern trails. They never checked in. We found the boy first, standing in the middle of a creek, soaked to the bone, staring at nothing. When we tried to move him, he just whispered, "I can't leave." He's watching. His father turned up the next morning, wedged inside a hollow tree 2 miles upstream. His skin was pruned, as if he'd been submerged for days, though the river was barely ankle deep. I started carrying a sidearm. The forest felt thicker at night. Twigs snapped when nothing was there. Once I swear I saw a figure. Tall, too thin, standing just beyond my flashlight's reach. When I swung the beam toward it, there was nothing but swaying branches. The final straw was the recording. One of our rangers found an abandoned backpack with a voice recorder inside. The playback was mostly static, but beneath it, something wet and guttural whispered, "You're next." I put in my transfer request the next day. Sometimes, when the wind cuts through the pines just right, I still hear that voice, and I wonder, how many lost hikers weren't found? How many walked into those woods and were taken? The forest doesn't give up all its secrets. Some things stay hidden, and some hunt. Story 2. We have a rule in search and rescue. We don't ask how. We find them, or we find what's left of them. The how is for the sheriffs and the shrinks. Our job is just to bring them back from the places that try to keep them. But sometimes you can't help but ask. The call for Marcus Thorne was a standard one. An experienced hiker, 45, vanished on the well-marked Osprey Peak Trail. We ran a standard grid for 2 days. Dogs, thermal imaging from the chopper, teams on the ground. Nothing. The woods were silent, holding their breath. The call came on day 3, crackling over the radio. It wasn't a voice, not at first. Just a burst of static that made my fillings ache. Then, clear as a bell for half a second, we heard it. The high, sweet laugh of a child. We all froze. Our comms officer chalked it up to frequency bleed from a passing car, but we were miles from any road. A cold wire pulled tight in my gut. An hour later, the chopper pilot spotted him. Not on the trail, not in a ravine. He was on the Sentinel, a sheer granite spire that juts out of the old-growth forest like a broken tooth. Seasoned climbers with full gear take half a day to scale it. Marcus was just sitting at the top. It took a specialized team another 4 hours to reach him. When they did, he offered no resistance. He wasn't frostbitten or dehydrated. He wasn't injured at all. The most disturbing thing, the detail that still wakes me up, was his boots. They were perfectly clean. No scuffs, no mud, no sign of the grueling, impossible climb he would have had to make. We brought him down. He was quiet, his eyes fixed on something over our heads. The only time he spoke was when I was helping him into the ambulance. He leaned in close, his breath cold on my ear. "You shouldn't have looked up," he whispered, his voice a dry rustle. "It doesn't like being seen." The official report lists it as a psychotic break induced by exhaustion and exposure. But I was there. I saw the top of the Sentinel, a place no man could get to without ropes and hours of effort. I saw his clean boots. And now, when I'm out in the deep woods and the canopy gets thick overhead, I follow Marcus Thorne's advice. I don't look up. I'm afraid of what I might see looking back down. Story 3. They don't tell you about the quiet ones in training. They teach you hypothermia, animal attacks, the panic-driven mistakes that lead people off trails. They teach you procedure, but they don't teach you about the wrongness. My 10th year with SAR. You see things, but you file them away, find a rational box to stuff them in. You have to, or the forest starts to feel like it's breathing down your neck. The call was for a missing hiker, Julianne Pike, experienced, well-equipped. Her last known point was a trail marker near Whisper Creek. Standard grid search. For 2 days, nothing. Her car was still at the trailhead, untouched. On the 3rd day, the call came over the radio. It wasn't from dispatch. It was faint, crackling, buried under a layer of static. A woman's voice, humming a simple, repeating melody, like a nursery rhyme. We tried to respond, but the signal was one way. It lasted for maybe 30 seconds, then vanished. The creepiest part? The melody was clear, but there was no sound of wind, no birdsong, nothing behind it. Just pure, clean humming from the ether. We used a directional finder, triangulating the brief signal. It led us a mile off trail, into a part of the woods nobody goes. The undergrowth was thick, ancient. It took us another hour to push through. That's when we found her. She was sitting at the base of a massive, rotted-out cedar stump, her back perfectly straight. She was facing away from us. Her pack was on the ground beside her, neatly unbuckled. Her boots were a few feet away, placed side by side, laces tucked in. My partner, Dave, called her name. "Julianne?" No response. I approached slowly, the silence of the woods pressing in. It was unnatural. No insect buzz, no rustling leaves. Just silence. I put a hand on her shoulder. She was cold. Not just cold from the air, but a deep, cellular coldness. When I turned her, I had to choke back a scream. Her eyes were wide open, staring at nothing. But her face... Her mouth was stretched into a placid, unnervingly wide smile. There were no signs of injury, no struggle. She just looked content. The official report will say exposure. The coroner will find something plausible. But we all heard that humming. We all saw how her boots were placed, like she was a guest taking them off before entering a home. We found her in a place no signal should reach, a place where the woods themselves seem to hold their breath. I still go out on searches. It's my job. But now, when the radio crackles with static, I feel a prickle of ice on my spine. And I never, ever go into the woods after dark without remembering Julianne's impossible smile and the silent song that led us right to her.